Welcome in, everybody, to this week's edition of the Fast Break. We are presented by Dunkin' Donuts. I am Casey Johnson, and it's our first mobile edition. Yes, I am taping this in a Denver hotel room after that stirring victory over the Nuggets last night. I actually have some Rocky Mountains in the distance in the window. Traveling can sometimes be glamorous, but it's really not. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Bulls beat stuff. We're here to talk about the Bulls. And here are the four storylines that I'm going to be paying attention to most this week. Number one, the Giddey Coby White combination. We got a taste of it in Utah, and man, did it look good. Even with Coby White coming off the bench and not starting alongside Josh Giddey, which eventually will happen, assuming Coby White stays at full strength. But look, they played the majority of the stretch together, closing minutes, most of the overtimes. Coby was in and out a little bit because of that minutes restriction, but blew past it to 30 minutes. And what is not to like about those two guys playing together? They seem to pick up their chemistry from last season immediately. And what I liked the most was their mindset of both relentlessly attacking the rim. Coby White got to the line 14 times in that double overtime loss in Utah. Josh Giddey, who's averaging a career high in free throw attempts, got there 7 times. Coby obviously had the 27 points and 8 assists. Giddey had that monster triple-double of 26, 13, and 13. Yes, they lost the game, but those two playing at that level is an encouraging sign if you're a Bulls fan. They just both are relentless in their attack. That's the part about the Coby upsetting the team chemistry dynamic that I never understood, because he's not a selfish player. 8 assists prove that. His shot creation proved that. And really, until Coby came back, they didn't have anybody else who was elite at breaking defenders off the dribble in the half-court situation and getting to the rim. 𝗬𝗎 can do that in transition. He's one of the best transition players in the team and very good at getting downhill. But in the half-court situation, Josh Giddey, the responsibility of him in terms of shot creation has been high, and Coby White's return should help in that department, and you saw that in Utah. So he's scheduled to play on Wednesday in Portland. We're taping this, as I said, the off day Tuesday in Denver before they fly to Portland. And then we'll probably only play one of those two home back-to-back games, Friday, Saturday against Miami Heat and the Washington Wizards. But you're eventually going to see Coby White's minutes restriction lifted. You're eventually going to see Coby White return to that starting lineup, and you're eventually going to see him alongside Josh Giddey for multiple stretches, and that is a good thing if you're a Bulls fan. All right, number two, the bench. Man, we're almost running out of adjectives, aren't we? Just a superlative performance, not only in Utah, but also in Denver. They are second in the NBA behind the Memphis Grizzlies with 48.1 bench points. Their last two games, 71 points in Utah, 66 points in that win in Denver. Now, the Utah performance was aided a little bit by Coby White coming off the bench, which he's going to do for the foreseeable future. But even before Coby was in that unit, and that's a temporary thing, the bench has been playing at a very high level all season long, evidenced by that spectacular performance in Denver. Jevon Carter, obviously huge in Denver, as was Jalen Smith and 𝗬𝗎. We're going to get into that for a second. I was talking to Jevon Carter post-game in Denver about the bench, and I brought up how the 71 points in Utah were aided by Coby White's insertion into the reserve unit. And he was joking. He said, we don't need Coby. We can score without Coby as a bench unit. So there's a little fun going on in the locker room. By the way, Jevon Carter, my favorite possession of the entire season, that heat check 3 in transition, a miss, chased down his own long rebound, and without hesitation let another three-pointer fly, splash for 3. The guy is fearless. And look, man, Billy Donovan was effusive in his praise of Jevon Carter post-game in Denver, called him one of the most professional people he's ever been around, one of the hardest working people he's ever been around. And those of us who are around the team see it. I know some people say Javon Carter's a one-trick pony and a little trigger happy with a three-point shot, but that's his role on this team. He does pick up full court defensively as well. And you have to admire a guy who keeps himself ready at all times during long stretches of inactivity and then is still able to go out there and make the impact that he did in Denver. Jalen Smith, he's been balling out at a high level all season. He's at 40% from three on a career-high volume of 4.2 attempts. That's in like 14 minutes per game. So that guy is going out and doing his role. He's launching from three. He's a stretch five, maybe a four, depending on what lineup he's in. Pick and pop guy. You have to pay attention to him. Defenses have to respect his shot. Opens up driving lanes, opens up spacing on the floor. And he was able to shake off that shoulder stinger that he had in Denver. We talked to him post-game. He not only returned to that game, but told us he felt fine afterward. Now, Billy Donovan did raise a slight flag of caution for the future, saying that Jalen Smith was able to return initially, but then when he got taken out that last time in Denver, medical told him that he was not available for the rest of the game. So we're going to see where he's at on the injury report. But look, obviously that would be a loss if he's not able to play in Portland. But my point about the bench is the depth. There's different guys contributing different nights. You've got multiple people filling multiple roles. Dalen Terry came in Denver, provided some very solid minutes with some defensive aggression, agitation. I loved how he was the first one objecting to the hard foul by Bruce Brown on Patrick Williams. Patrick also got up off the deck and came kind of back at Bruce Brown. That's the second time Patrick Williams has done that. We have not seen that before from P. Will. So solid minutes from Dalen Terry in his role of kind of being that agitator and defensive aggressor. So, again, lots to like from the bench, and let's see if they can keep it up. They've been doing it all season long. They've only been outscored as a unit one time through 13 games. That's impressive stuff. All right, third storyline. Obviously, if you're a Bulls fan, you want the Bulls to win Wednesday night, right? I get it. That's true and that's fair. But you should be cheering for the Portland Trailblazers for the rest of the season. I like to occasionally have this reminder that the Bulls are still owed a first-round pick from the Portland Trailblazers, who are actually pretty decent this year. Now, they're obviously in the gauntlet that is the Western Conference. But as of this taping, they're at 6-7, following a tough overtime loss. And that pick obviously is lottery protected for the next 3 drafts. So obviously, if you're a Bulls fan, you are cheering for Portland to get out of the lottery. And then that pick comes the Bulls' way. This season would be ideal. Why is that? Well, the Bulls have possession of their own first-round pick. Adding a second first-round pick in what is considered a pretty solid draft, along with all of the Bulls' expiring contracts, would allow the front office to go a lot of different directions and the potential to get creative. Now, I always want to warn that salary cap space that is projected for the summer of 2026 could be gobbled up by a cap hold of Coby White if you're trying to re-sign him, which we'll see how that plays out. But point is, obviously 2 first-round picks, more flexibility, asset collection, along with all the expiring salaries. So, again, you're cheering for Portland to be good this season. They actually have back-to-back home games starting tonight. We're taping this on Tuesday, concluding with the Wednesday game against the Bulls. Deni Avdija is looking like potentially an all-star, really, really good player. Kamara is a young talent, very strong defensively. Jrue Holiday has been a solid offseason pickup. He's currently sidelined with a calf injury. But again, Portland's trying to win. And if you're a Bulls fan, that is a good sign. All right, our fourth storyline. Do you have NBA Cup fever? I do not, and I have mocked it before. But Friday night is actually a pretty big home cup game against that old nemesis, the Miami Heat. They are also 1-1 in the Bulls group, as are the Bulls and the New York Knicks. The Bucks are 2-0, although they might be without Giannis moving forward as he suffered a groin injury this week. And look, I've given NBA Commissioner Adam Silver a lot of credit for the play-in tournament. I think that's really, really hit on a high level. It's created a lot of excitement, allowed a lot of teams to stay in contention, energize the fan base, energize the players. I mean, the Bulls have been in that play-in race for multiple seasons in a row, and it's created a lot more intrigue, competitiveness, excitement. So the play-in tournament, A+. NBA Cup, I'm not feeling it, and I'm painting with broad brushstrokes here, but in my conversations around the league, there's just not a lot of buzz or excitement about it. The courts are fire. I'm not going to lie. The Bulls' home court this season in particular, I love. And again, if you're playing to win, right? And if you end up coming out of the group stage to the knockout rounds and get past those, you're going to Vegas at some point. But I just don't think the idea has caught fire. And I'm not the only one. Like I said, I've talked to some players about it. And even some of the European players I've talked to about it. Obviously overseas, they do this, and it has created the excitement. That was Adam Silver's model when he created this situation. But it hasn't quite caught on with the same level of intrigue or excitement to this point with the NBA. So that's my take on it. That said, Friday is a pretty big cup game, because if the Bulls are able to go 2-1, their final cup game is the final Friday of the month, the day after Thanksgiving, in Charlotte against a young and improving Charlotte team, but still one that you should probably get. So the Bulls have a chance to be one of those either group stage winners or wild cards. There are 8. I had actually had to look this up. That's how little I know about the NBA Cup. There are 8 teams that advance to the knockout rounds, the 6 group stage winners, and then 1 wild card from each conference. So you win Friday against the Miami Heat, you're still in the running to advance to the knockout rounds and then potentially to Las Vegas. And then, of course, there's the little subplot of the Miami Heat, the Bulls' age-old nemesis in what I previously mentioned, the play-in tournament and all the intrigue there. So the Bulls obviously are still referencing that ridiculous performance in last season's home play-in loss to the Miami Heat. Be nice to get a little bit of revenge on Friday at the United Center. So that's what I'm going to be checking out this week. Those are the 4 storylines. And, man, great victory in Denver for the Bulls. We are going to close this edition with, yes, the Banner Bull. By now, if you've been watching this Fast Break, this has become a regular staple. It's where I pick one player that I think is going to have the most impact on the week ahead. I was 0 for 2. I'm taking the victory lap. My producer, Kevin Lapka, disagrees with me, but he's wrong, and I'm right. 𝗬𝗓 was my Banner Bull for last week. I got that one right. First of all, to me, he was one of the most impactful players in that Denver victory. Had that huge steal and dunk late in a 1-possession game. For the 4 games last week, he averaged 17.8 points, 4.3 assists in 26.8 minutes. Shot 55.8% from the floor, 41.2% from 3. As I mentioned before, he's very good in transition, one of the best downhill players in the team. I think defensively, he's been very good this season. I talked to Io about his three-point shooting. It's over 40%, not only for this week, when I correctly picked him as the Banner Bull, but for the season. He put a lot of work into that shot this offseason once he was cleared to do that following that shoulder surgery. He knew he shot a poor percentage last season. He was very disappointed with himself from that, and he's become very reliable from that distance this season. So I'm 1 for 3, got that one right, and my Banner Bull for the week ahead is Josh Giddey. Man, that dude has picked up right where he left off before his ankle injury. 2 very, very solid games in Utah and Denver, playing heavy minutes and still producing at a high level. And Denver Nuggets coach David Adelman made a very interesting point pregame. First of all, he said he's playing at an all-star level. And he, unsolicited, talked about how this trade that was mocked at the time is a trade that really has worked out for both teams, because obviously you place Alex Caruso on a team with a timeline more suited for his skill set, and they win a championship. And now you've got Josh Giddey on a team that more fits his skill set, where you can put the ball in his hands and let him run the show. His usage is totally different, obviously, in Chicago than it would be in Oklahoma City with the MVP emergence of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Sam Presti knew that, the Thunder executive. Arturas Karnisovas knew that, the Bulls executive. Should have the Bulls got draft compensation? That's the age-old argument, especially with all the draft picks the Oklahoma City Thunder have. I can tell you that in my conversations about that trade, I was told that the Oklahoma City Thunder also believed Josh Giddey would be an all-star at some point in his career, particularly in the Eastern Conference, and in a role where he's best suited. And that was Adelman's point last night here in Denver. He's in a role that is best showcasing his strengths. You have to give him the ball. You have to let him run the show. And his ability to get to the rim, create pressure, get to the line, kick outs for other shots is really, really shining thus far this season. The dude's averaging almost a triple-double. And that's why he is my pick for Banner Bull this week. Let's see if I can get another one right. Perhaps Lapka and I will have another argument. Until then, thank you so much for watching this edition of the Fast Break. It's mobile. I'm on the road, and we are presented by Dunkin' Donuts. Thank them for their support, and we will check you out next week. Thanks for watching.